wasn't even busy. I think I was just like burnt out a little bit, like a little bit overwhelmed with how much stuff I've been doing. So I just like decided to play video games to relax a little bit. And then Tuesday, I was going to record, but then I forgot that I had to go get my fingerprints done for this job that I applied, and one of like the things I have to do for like a background check is like get my fingerprints done. So that was fun. That was like at 1 I had gone, and when I got back it was like almost 2 o'clock, and then I started doing some homework. And then as I was doing my homework, I get a text message from the HR guy. And long story short, like, I had to go back, and by the time I was here, like, everyone was home and it was too loud, so I couldn't record. Yesterday, like, it was a long day. By the time I got home, everyone was home. But I decided just to make a video today. But for today's video, I think I'm just gonna review this book called Parable of the Sower. It's a really good book. So I'll talk about it a little bit. I just finished reading it yesterday for class. So for my English literary experience class, which is like English 200, I decided to take comics because the professor that teaches it, I had them last semester for composition, and I really liked their way of teaching, and like I had fun in the class. I was like, oh, like comics sounds like fun. So it's like comics and graphic novels. It is actually the more challenging class I've had this semester. It's just like a lot of reading, a lot of writing, a lot of analyzing. It's just like there's always something to do. The classes that I thought would be the hardest are actually kind of like the easier ones. But yeah, so let's talk about the book. But first, more tapping. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, tap. Some tapping with my nails. Tapping with my fingertips. Page turning. So yeah, so Parable of the Sower was actually a novel, a science fiction novel written by Octavia Butler. It was like a huge success. It was written in like the 90s, and it's about like essentially a dystopian society in the aftermath of like environmental like catastrophes. We had like saw her before she passed away in 2005 from a stroke, I think. She was like talking about in an interview of like how, because this book takes place in 2024 through 2026, which is like the next couple years. So like, and her, like, they're my neighbors outside, and like she pretty much came up with this dystopian society in like our like years, you know, like 2024 to 2026. And this is just the first book out of like 3, but the third one was never finished because she passed away. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here that's like scary. How she got it right. Like if she was like a fortune teller. One of the president in here, his slogan is "Make America Great," and like he's pretty much the one that like fucked up a lot of stuff, and like essentially lets corporations just do whatever they want, which like harms the people. But essentially there's like stuff like that, but a lot of this is just like the dangers of global warming and how we're not doing anything to stop it or to slow it down. It's a really good book. So the main character is Lauren, and the book follows her and her life during this situation. So it starts off with her arguing with her dad because her dad is a Baptist minister, and he is like essentially pushing for her to get baptized as a Baptist, and she doesn't believe in that. Like, she doesn't believe in his God. She believes in her own God, and her own God is like what she calls earth seed, is like the religion she's trying to start. But this book is like crazy. Like things change from one page from the next. That's the refrigerator. I don't know if you can hear it, but it starts off with this page. The fridge is making ice. I'm sorry. Starts off with this page. And then it's just immediately chaotic. So she lives in I wouldn't say a gated community in the sense that we think of gated communities like country clubs. Like, she lives in a neighborhood in California that is guarded by a huge wall with barbed wire to keep like the really poor people outside. Even though they're poor, like they're not rich by any means, they're just essentially the working class, and they're constantly fighting people who are drug addicts and people who are just like beyond poor, essentially. The thing that makes Lauren different, though, is that she's a hyper empath, which is like, the book explains it as a condition where she experiences just hyper empathy for people, like physically. So if she saw someone suffering, like if she saw someone get socked in the face, like she would feel it, and she would start bleeding almost, pretty much, like she would just feel it. And it starts off with her and her family going to church, which is outside beyond the wall. So they're all riding bikes because no one can afford gasoline, let alone a car, so they all just ride bikes. So they ride their bikes, and as they're going to their church, they pass by a lot of people that are in pain. Like, the first person that they ran into beyond the wall is a woman that had just been raped, and she's naked, and she sees her, and she just immediately starts to like cower, almost like feels it. As they continue, she sees like a little boy with, I want to say like just bubbles on his face, like almost like the bubonic plague. She feels that pain too. Like, she like starts to take on the pain. She sees someone with a missing limb, like someone who literally just got like decapitated, and then she starts to feel it. It's more of like as if it's being done to her. Like right here. So she's seen it happen. Then on the next page, she feels it. And then as the book continues, like more and more things keep happening. Like, to make it to the church, gets baptized. She experiences a lot of loss, like right away. It's like back to back to back of like pain and suffering. The first one was when a little girl, I think she was like 10 in the book, she is shot to death, and like she just dies. Like from one page she's like happy, the next page she's like, oh, like she's dead. and then it just continues, and then it's just constant like pain and grief. She gets into arguments with people, especially her dad. Like, she was telling her friend Joanne, like, hey, like, one of these days, like, the people beyond the wall are gonna, like, get tired, and they're gonna, like, break in, and we need to learn how to survive, because we need to run away, because, like, she doesn't want to kill or hurt anyone, because then she would feel it. And the thing that she's scared most of is if she has to kill someone, or see someone get killed, she feels like she would die too, because, like, she feels it too. Like, she feels pain, like, she thinks she would just die as well. As the book progresses, her brother Keith decides to, like, pretty much fuck around and find out, in which he decides to steal the key to be able to open the gate to the wall and go outside. And once he's outside, the first thing that happens to them, he gets jumped. He gets jumped, and he has to go home naked without the key and without a gun. So he lost his clothes, the key, and a gun. So his dad's not very happy about that, so he, like, takes a turn beating the shit out of him. And then Keith just decides to, like, I'm gonna leave the house. And he ends up getting with a bad crew. Like, he ends up dressing fancy, brings gifts, like, somehow ends up with a lot of money, and then boom, out of nowhere, like, we find out that he's fucking dead. And then a couple pages forward, as people are deciding that they want to leave or stay in, I think the town's called Robles, her dad disappears, and you never hear from him again. Like, it's just known that he's dead. And then as the book progresses, they break in. Oh, it's also through 2027. So they break in, and this whole time she's been preparing to like, she just knows that she's gonna need to survive. So she pretty much gets, like, a pillowcase, puts a bunch of survival stuff that she needs, so that in case something were to happen, she can just grab it and book it. But she's really smart. Like, she's been reading books this whole time on how to survive, like, learning what plants to eat, how Native Americans were able to survive. A bunch of books that are just for survival, and she saves up a lot of money, but she's smart enough to know that she can't keep it in the house. Like, she puts it in a Ziploc bag, digs a little bit, and covers it with a rock. So then once the invasion happens, she gets what she can and grabs her go bag, runs outside, grabs her money, meets up with her family, and, like, they run. But as they were running, people were being, like, killed. They were slaughtered. And as she's running, like, she sees someone get shot, so then she falls. And while she's, like, in pain, and, like, after, like, it's over, she gets up to look for her mom and her brothers. They're no longer there. I think it's safe to assume that they're dead, because this book is very violent. Like, very violent. Like, there's a lot of, like, talking about, like messed up things, like rape, murder, suicide, just really gory stuff. So, like, a woman and kids are not gonna make it, unfortunately, in this like, society. Like, in the book, they won't make it. So I feel like she's lost everyone in her family, but she ends up creating, like, a survival group with two friends from Robles, and then they decide that they're gonna, like, survive together. It's two girls and a guy. It's Lauren, Harry, and Sarah. And Sarah and Lauren understand that, like, a group of two women and one guy kind of looks weak, so they decide to shave their heads to pass off as men and dress up as men so that they don't look as vulnerable. But thanks to her survival instincts, like, she has saved up, like, I think it was, like, over $1,000. If we think inflation's bad, like, in this book it's even worse. They, like, walk and try to get to the nearest city that's, like, protected, because obviously, like, polices aren't gonna like protect neighborhoods. They're gonna protect private property, like stores. But she saves up money, and then she spends like about $1,000 on a couple things that would only cost like $200 maybe, probably less. But the resources are scarce. Like water's expensive. Like there is no more water essentially. Like this is taking place in like a huge like just environmental like depletion of resources. So there's like a lot of wildfires and whatnot. But in their first night, like she has to kill someone. Like they made a campground, and like the guy that was supposed to take watch falls asleep. Harry, he falls asleep, and they're like in like their little campsite gets invaded by like I think it's like 3 guys, and she has to fight them off because like Harry won't do it. Like he's just like frozen in fear. So she like stabs one dude and shoots the other dude in the face, and not in the face. Shoots one dude in the face. The 2 die immediately, and the other guy, who suffered like a gunshot wound, I think, he doesn't die immediately, but he's unconscious. And she had like realized that there's like a loophole to her hyper empathy, and it's like if a person is like dead or unconscious, then she can't feel their pain because they are not showing any like pain, like physical pain, like they're not crying or screaming or any facial expressions. They're like asleep. So she ends up just killing him in his he's unconscious. But yeah, the book continues, and as the book continues, like they push north because they're trying to get to Canada, thinking that the more north they go, like the better things are gonna be. As they go north, they run into a group of 3, technically a group of 2, Natividad and Travis, who are parents and are like a couple, and they have a kid named Domingo or Dominic, one of the 2. And they like create an alliance saying like, hey, like the best way for your kid to survive, because he's a toddler, they're like, the best way for your kid to survive is if like we team up together, like 5 adults and a child, have like it just increases the odds of like the kid surviving and all this. Some sticky tapping. There. And like the kid gets attacked by a dog, but Lauren gets to the dogs before they get to the kid. Then just it goes forward with them like walking, and like the like little stops that they've made every time they kill people. I forgot to mention, when they kill people or see dead people, they like search the bodies. Like they'll take the clothes off of them for them, like money, food, anything they can find, like they can scavenge, they'll take it off. And as they continue, they run into this name. What's his name? I can never say it. It's like Bankhoff. I don't know. It's an old guy who's like 2 years older than her dad. So this guy's like 54, and like it just screams daddy issues to it. Cause like she falls in love with him. She's 18, and I don't know. It's problematic, but she falls in. This is Lauren, and she like falls in love with this dude like the first day they meet. Falls in love with, and like after that, like she's on a mission to sleep with him. They just keep walking and walking, and in the middle of their walking, an earthquake happens, and they end up rescuing 2 girls, Jill and Amy. I think that's their names. If I turn the page, I'll probably fucking find out. Where the hell is it? It's Jill and Jill and Allison, who also goes by Amy. So yeah, they keep walking, and as she's meeting these people, she's telling them about like her new religion, and she's like, it's not a cult. You don't have to like believe in what I'm saying to join the group, but like this is what I'm about, and this is why I'm helping you. It's because of this like morality like thing I got like going on for my religion. So they just keep making their group bigger and bigger. It went from 3 to 8 to 11, 10 really fast. I can't count, but they just keep going forward, keep pushing. Oh, skip a little bit because it's just them killing people who are trying to kill them. And then, oh yeah, she ends up sleeping with the guy. Good for her, but like, he's old, kind of problematic. I'm not gonna read the bubble. The bubble is kind of, but yeah, they get together, and then he realizes that she's 18, and he's like, oh my god, I am a child predator. And I'm like, yes you are. I'm kidding, but I mean, they finally sleep, and like something about her's got power, because he like falls in love with her right away after sleeping with her, and they just essentially keep pushing. They keep running into some awful things. They end up rescuing 2 more people, and those 2 people have kids. Yeah, like this lady, don't know her name because she like dies or right away. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Keep pushing, and then their campsite gets attacked, and Amy dies. They keep pushing forward, and they get to this area in California where the 54-year-old dude, he owns that land. He's like, my sister lives there. Like, she has a house. Like, it's a lot of acres. There's a lot of space for us. Like, we can start a community there. They get there, and the house is burned down to the ground, and there's a bunch of schools. There's like 5 schools, which like means like his family's dead. Sorry, it's getting really nice out, so people are just like loving being outside. It's like 50 degrees out right now, and it feels great. But yeah, moving on. So that happens, and then pretty much at the end, like, it's just them like talking about whether they want to keep moving forward or if they want to start a community. And then the book pretty much ends with them saying like, we're gonna call our community Acorn. But it's honestly really good. So this was adapted into a graphic novel. Octavia Butler didn't write it like this. She wrote it in the style of, I don't remember the word my professor said, but it's essentially like notes, like letters, like writing them in letters. But the book was so popular, and then they decided to make it into a graphic novel, and I like it. Like, it's really good. I've never really liked comics. I didn't really care for them, but like, I like this. Like, this was really good, and the reading goes by fast. So anyways, I would give this like an 8.5 out of 10, because I did not like the ending, and I know I have to read the next book, but like, once I finish the next fucking book, like, I can never know what fucking happens, because she's dead and she didn't finish the 3rd book. So this is really good. It's a dystopian novel with like coming of age elements. Really good. I would recommend it. I bought this off of thrift books for like $8. Try never to buy stuff off of like Barnes and Noble, like new. Like, you can get stuff used for like half the price, and like, this is really good. Like, it's scuffed off, but it's because of me. But anyways, that'll be the end of the video, and I hope you all enjoyed. And I'm sorry I'm uploading like 3 days after I said that I would post, but school's getting really busy as the end of the semester is getting near. So